everybody. So today we are going to take a look at Jesus and Nicodemus and especially consider why Nicodemus kind of did and approached things the way that he did. We meet Nicodemus in John chapter 3, and right off the bat we're told that Nicodemus is a Pharisee. That kind of leaves a bad taste in our mouths a lot of the time. However, we see Nicodemus and also Simon the Pharisee who were genuinely seeking after God. So we need to make sure we're still giving him a chance despite the fact that he was a Pharisee. And then in chapter 3 and verse 2, this man came to Jesus by night and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with him. So here we see that Nicodemus came to Jesus at night. A lot of the time we tend to talk about this like it was a cowardly move. However, I would like to present a different side of the story. As we go throughout Scripture, we often see the Jewish leaders asking Jesus questions publicly while the disciples ask him privately. Like we've talked about before, this is a detail that's pretty easy for us to skip over, but it's actually very significant. In that culture, public questions were a challenge, and private questions were asked when seeking instruction. So this is the reason that we see the Jewish leaders typically asking Jesus questions in public and the disciples asking privately, because one group wanted to learn and the other did not. But Nicodemus was a Jewish leader who came to Jesus privately. Another thought is that Nicodemus did this for Jesus' sake and also his safety. It is no secret that Jesus made enemies and that he upset people in powerful places, and there were many times that those people wanted to kill him. Some people speculate that Nicodemus went to Jesus at night in an effort to keep him from harm. While we see no scriptural evidences as to why Nicodemus approached Jesus at night, both reasons have their validity, and I just think it's important for us to make sure we're not getting stuck in one way of thinking and not considering any other possibilities. But either way, the really important thing for us to notice about Nicodemus is that he was willing to ask questions. He was willing to think that maybe he didn't have it all figured out. Maybe, just maybe, he had more to learn. He was willing to ask questions and to evaluate Jesus' answers to see if there was more to Scripture than what he's previously thought. A very dangerous and yet easy trap for us to fall into is thinking we already have everything figured out. Especially for those of us who have been attending worship services for all of our lives, it's way too easy for us to think that we already know the stuff that we've been taught. And because of that, we're all too often unwilling to look at Scripture and see what it says. We'd rather look at Scripture to support what we know. I challenge you guys to be aware of this trap and to be diligent to avoid it. I challenge you to have the humility that it takes to acknowledge that you don't in fact know everything. Please be Bereans like we see in the book of Acts, who literally fact-checked the Apostle Paul. It's really, really important that we make sure to search Scripture for what Scripture says and not for what we think should be found in there. Thank you.